Felicien Rops was born to a bourgeois family in Namur and was one of the most successful artists in 19th century Belgium. He received his education at the Academy of Namur, Université Libre de Bruxelles, where he developed influential artistic, social, and political networks. Rops achieved international acclaim as a designer and printmaker, frequently collaborating with contemporaries and experimenting with printmaking techniques. The primary research on Felicien Rops' art focuses on the erotic aspects of his works, with many fin de siècle and symbolist tropes, while ignoring his mythological and realistic works. It is essential to point out that his work also includes contemporary criticism of the clergy and bourgeoisie, literary illustrations, and the hardships of the working class. Les Épaves. Felicien Rops' art and life are closely related to the works of the French symbolist poet Charles Baudelaire, and their relationship has been beneficial to both of their careers. Baudelaire praised Rops as the greatest Belgian artist of his time, and Rops illustrated the poet's collections of poems. The Wreckage, done in 1866, 2 years after Rops met Charles Baudelaire, is a frontispiece for the poet's compilation of censured poems from Flowers of Evil. In this work, Rops developed a set of symbols he would use for the rest of his career. Rops shows a skeleton encircled by a snake, its outstretched arms metamorphosing into an apple tree supporting the letters of the title. At its feet are the 7 deadly sins living out their excesses. While at the top of the page, a chimera-like creature is carrying off a medallion bearing the poet's likeness. Parts of this image, specifically the skeleton and the evil plants, were Baudelaire's conception. The poet wrote what he desired as a frontpiece in a letter to the photographer Nadar in 1859. An arborescent skeleton, his legs and ribs forming the trunk, the arms extended in a cross blossom out into leaves and buds protecting many ties of venomous plants in small pots, staggered as in a greenhouse. Pornocrate. Felicien Rops' art confronted society with its amoral tendencies, depravity, and debauchery, which starkly contrasted the strict social norms of the end of the century. Many of Rops' blatantly sexual and even obscene depictions were perceived as scandalous. However, in his deliberate breach of taboo, the artist held up a mirror to his contemporaries and exposed the prevailing bigotry. It is reflected best in none other than his famous watercolor, Pornocrate, in which the artist pays homage to the dominion of uncontrollable urges. The painting depicts a half-naked woman against a blue background, blindfolded and led by a pig. The black stockings and gloves accentuate the woman's nakedness and eroticism. Beneath her is a classical frieze with personifications of fine arts in resigned positions with bowed heads. The modern woman is guided by her instincts, symbolized by the pig trampling over the tradition of ancient arts. At the same time, it represents how Felicien Rops' art rejects academicism and society and denounces bourgeois hypocrisy repressing moral freedom. Temptation of St. Anthony. Yet again, Felicien Rops bases his modern image on an already established iconography of the 3rd century hermit and the torments he endured. In a typical representation of the crucifixion, Christ is replaced and pushed away to the side by a completely nude woman with a provocative smile. As described in the hagiography of St. Anthony, the hermit is tempted by the devil in various ways, including young women. The INRI, an acronym for the Latin phrase Jesus Nazarenus Rex Judaeorum, Jesus the Nazarene, King of the Jews, is replaced by the word eros, representing love, lust, and desire. The standard fin de siècle image still holds some iconography associated with St. Anthony, such as ragged clothing, a long beard, books, and the pig. As in his other work from this period, Pornocrate, the pig is linked to the woman. In this case, the pig, traditionally the representative of the hermit's kindness, is focused on the crucified woman, showing its subordination to her. The half-skeletal putti, often associated with love, are turned into macabre creatures. Next to the crucified femme fatale, they seem to indicate lust's alluring and deadly side. Les Satanic. In 1882, Felicien Rops finished his series Les Sataniques, Satanic, again showing the decadent spirit of the 19th century. This 5-part series quickly lapses into the pornographic, without referencing any literary model at all, and is sometimes regarded as the continuation of Le Diabolique. As much of Felicien Rops' art, these works were ostracized and banned. The 5 gravures, intended as a part of the never-completed L'Album du Diable, Devil Scrapbook, form a series themed on sex, death, and religion. Once again, we get an image of a woman as Satan's accomplice, whose attraction provokes vices, and torments the man, her mere puppet. The central theme of sacrifice is a woman totally subjugated by her own urges and bound to evil in a pact with Satan. The woman loses control of her body and her emotions to couple with the devil. The figure of the sower, from one of the prints in the Satanic series, Satan sowing the tares, was taken up by other artists of the period. Un enterrement au pays wallon. Felicien Rops' art has always been filled by a certain humoristic element at the expense of the church, politicians, bourgeoisie, and art critics. When he was 22, Ropp co-founded the satirical magazine Le Eulenspiegel, named after a folkloristic trickster figure. In his cartoons, lithographs, paintings, and illustrations, Ropp more prominently established himself as a subversive satirist. In A Burial in Wallonia, Ropp presents us with a realistic image of a funeral in process. In a letter, Ropp explains that he has faithfully reproduced a funeral that he attended by chance when walking in Namur. This realistic scene close to the caricature reveals all his sensitivity. Inspired by the A Burial in Ornat by Gustave Courbet, Ropp distills a hint of cynicism faced by the clergy, who, absorbed by the worship, ignore all the child's pain.